In 5 years, we have spent almost $264,000 traveling the world full-time as nomads. So in this video, we're going to break down those numbers, but we're going to tell you kind of how it works year over year. Look a little bit about on cash flow, how we've had spikes and valleys and amount that we spent, and how we actually did or didn't stay on budget, and put that into the scope of how the first year is different than the second year is different than the third year, and so on. Stay tuned. You're going to really enjoy this video.
Hi, we're really glad you're here. We are Chris and Steve, a retired senior couple who sold our house, our car, and everything in them in Denver, Colorado in 2021, and we've been traveling the world full-time ever since with just our 2 carry-on suitcases. You may know us as Eat, Walk, Learn. We have a weekly newsletter that we publish on Substack, so please be sure to subscribe over there or come to our Facebook group where we post what we're doing almost every single day. On our website, you'll find over 200 locations to inspire you, and you can also read about our entire Nomad life journey in our book series on Amazon.
So I'm Steve and this is Chris, and we have been traveling full-time for at least 5 years now. In the last couple of videos, we showed you how our spending compared to our budget.
Yep.
And we do, since we travel full time, I'm the one that kind of focuses on the budget, although it's kind of a game. Like if we exceed our budget, we're not going to have to go back to work. So,
I don't know. If we went and bought a $3 million house, we might have to think about.
Yeah. And we should buy a $3 million house, but I'm still not going back to work.
Yeah, no, and
So
we're not
we'll
buying a
have to
$3 million house.
We'll have to work that out. Maybe
Yeah.
I can drive an Uber or something in Malaysia.
No, we're not going back to work. And this is not work, by the way. YouTube, people say, oh, well, you have YouTube and you make money on YouTube. We don't make a lot of money. We don't think it's work. This is our chance to give back, and we enjoy the process of creating videos.
Yeah.
Moving on.
This is fun.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the budget and what's changed over the last 5 years, I think,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And how our spending, $264,000 that we spend over the last 5
That's
years.
a little bit more than $250,000.
That sounds like a lot of money, but then when you break it down, you say, you know what, 2 people can travel the world full time and do amazing things and have incredible experiences, and on $50,000 a year.
Yeah, give or take, yeah.
I think that's pretty amazing.
Okay, so we're going to put up a couple charts here. The first chart is how our cash flow has changed over 5 years. So we're going to refer back to this chart several times as we're talking in this video. But I want to talk, and then we're also going to show how our budget has changed from the first year to the last year. We started at $48,000, and then our most recent budget was $58,000. So in 10 years, our budget has changed by $10,000. We're going to talk about that too, but we've been on the road now. We're starting our 6th year, and we have lots and lots of full-time nomad friends. And a lot of us, there's a whole cohort of us that all started right about the same time, kind of summertime 2021.
Yeah.
And we have seen with this cohort of people, this same sort of pattern and lifestyle changes and kind of the embracement. It's like a life cycle, a nomad life cycle. Now, we're going to talk about a 5-year cycle. This could be a cycle that's 5 months long, or it could be 10 years long, but we see these 5 kind of things happen in the life cycle over time. And as we talk about this video, we're going to talk about that. So for example, in year 1, when we launched way back in 2021, we had $48,000. Just to save the suspense, we came in on budget, a little bit over budget by 1.4%, $48,661. But we that first year when you launch, it's really super exciting, and you make a lot of mistakes. You pay a lot of nomad tax. We say, you like a nomad tax is like you get to town, you've been there for 2 weeks, you finally decide to buy a bus pass. Well, if you would have bought it the first day you got there rather than the second week, you would have saved yourself $50 or something. Yeah. That's nomad tax, right?
Well, I like to think of it, as a learning curve. Like this. There's just, you go to places and there's just things that you don't know, and so it costs you a little bit more. And maybe you even get taken advantage of, but then you learn the ropes and you figure things out. So it's just like anything else.
Yeah.
And once you get into the groove, and once you've been doing this for 5 years, you're like, oh yeah, I remember our first year when we screwed up on this and we
Yeah.
didn't pay attention to that, and everything was, was brand new and
Yeah.
exciting and making mistakes, and we're still making mistakes.
Yeah. But you kind of learn this system of how to be a nomad. And even though you're in a new system and the bus system is different, you know what the system is to buses and you know kind of what to look for so you don't make those mistakes again, for example. Or checking into hotels or confirming dates or you learn the different systems of nomad life in your first year. But you also are probably working a bucket list. You've been putting a bucket list together for years and years and years and years. You've been waiting to launch. All of a sudden you have this bucket list and now you're off on the bucket list. So that's the first year.
Yeah. Okay. I agree, and I also disagree, because I think that the bucket list continues, and we're continuing to add
that's true.
things onto our list and continuing to expand, and things that we didn't. So, for example, I looked at a list that we put together back in 2019 or 2020
on the yellow legal pad that we made.
We made a list of things that we do, and one of the things on that list was hiking in the Dolomites.
Yeah.
And another
and going
thing
to Costa Rica.
And going to Costa Rica. Another thing on the list was taking a river cruise on the Rhine. Well, guess what? This year we've got those things planned.
5 years later.
5 years later, those things are still on our list, and they're still being, I don't want to say checked off, but the experiences that we've been wanting to do as a couple that we're doing. So I want to say that the first, like in 1 year, you're going to do everything that you ever wanted to do, and then you're done, and now year 2, you're like, oh, I have nothing else to do.
Well, that's not true. But I do think in that first year you have a lot of momentum coming into the year that you're going to get all these things done. And
what's surprising to me is that how long it takes to do things, because we originally had a list, again, back to our original list of we're going to go to these 24 places. In 2 years. In 2 years, and one each month.
Yeah.
And that
never happened.
It didn't happen. We've been just way creative and moving through the world at a different pace.
So then in the second year, we had the same budget. It was $48,000, and we spent the exact same amount, $48,661. That's what your numbers say. Is that right?
We spent.
You have the same as second year as the first year.
It can't.
I think we have a typo here. Okay, so in the second year, which we're going to talk about now, we do need to make a correction here. The first year we were over budget. It was $51,354 over budget by about $4,000, or 7%.
7% over
so
budget.
So $3,354 over budget. In the second year, we had a $48,000 budget as well, and we still, I guess we didn't learn our lesson. We went over a little bit on that as well. We went over 48,661, so I apologize for having to make that correction, and 1.4% over. But I think we thought that when we were first launching, there were some expenses of launching that we included in that budget. But in the second year, we didn't have those expenses, and we thought we could do still $2,000 each a month for the second year. Now, in the second year, now I know you're going to disagree with me on this, but we certainly have seen this across this cohort we've talked about. In the second year, the grief hits. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad year or it's a sad year. It's just that I think for me, all of a sudden, I realized in the second year, after all of that momentum and energy of the first year had passed, and the second year, all of a sudden, it came to my mind that, oh my God, I don't have my house anymore. I don't have my favorite stuff anymore. I'm not, there was retirement issues too. I'm not a worker anymore. My kid had gone to college. I was an empty nester now. I was like, all these identities I had before we launched, the reality of that now came true in the second year. And I had a lot of grief and some identity crisis. How about you?
Yeah, and I think that's normal, and I think it takes a period of time when you first start traveling. You're still feeling like honeymoon vacation mode kind of thing. Yay, we're out, exciting, we're doing things, and then at some point it hits you. It's like, this is my life. This is real.
Yeah, it's not a vacation.
I'm not going home. There is no home. I sold everything that I own. I don't have, and I know some people have the storage units. They might keep their house. They might go back and visit, or they might have a home base somewhere. We don't have that home base. So you hit a point. Now, I have to say that I don't think I've had, and maybe I'm still in denial. I don't think I hit that grief point of loss I am still like riding high, like having fun and enjoying and not thinking about
Yeah,
the
and
past.
I think what the difference is, and also there's a big difference here. So I had retired 5 years prior to us leaving. Steve retired on the day that we left. So I kind of had 5 years of adjustment period. But nonetheless, when I got to that second year of nomad life, for whatever reason, it just hit me. We tell the story that we took separate vacations in our second year. Steve took a week and went to Borneo to learn how to scuba. I took a week and went to Thailand to go to a yoga and media meditation retreat. And there were all these 30-something there on their heat, love, pray adventure, crying and boo-hooing and all these things about their life. And I'm sitting there going, what the hell is wrong with you? And then like the 5th day of a 7-day meditation thing, I start boo-hooing and I realize I have a lot of grief that I had not managed and certainly had to take some time to manage that.
Yeah, and I do. And I remember when you called me and we're still like 2 days away from, from seeing each other after we're apart for a week. And you were really upset.
Yeah,
and it was like, and it hit me too, but it didn't hit me in a way where I was grieving. It hit me in a way that I was empathetic for your grief and your loss.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for you to...
It'll happen. I mean, it could happen while we're on doing this video.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah.
No. But how did you get over that?
A lot of meditation and yoga and actually acknowledging it, like really understanding like what the feeling was. I did a lot of writing and a lot of meditation, a lot of alone time and self-time and talking to my girlfriends and other nomads. Are you having these same feelings too? We did a video about grief. And I think it's something that, especially as YouTube influencers, which we don't think we are, but some people call us that, nobody talks about the bad stuff. And I think the grief is a real big thing that we all should talk about. We were just out to dinner recently with a nomad couple, and I asked them about it, and they're like, oh, yeah, we certainly had some grief. And they were happy to talk about it. So,
well, and I do think that's at a point where a lot of people decide, that they've been traveling full time, they may one or the other. It decides, you know what, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
I need to go. I need to go home. Whatever home is, I need to go home and plant myself and and have that kind of established roots that we don't have. We're just a rolling stone.
Yeah. Yeah, really. Yeah, 2 years definitely like a litmus test for if you're going to survive the nomad life, I think. So in the third year, so can you pull up the third year numbers? So in the third year, we decided to up our budget to $52,000. We gave ourselves a $4,000 bonus increase. What we actually saw a lot then was the COVID pricing was during COVID and right after COVID, travel was really affordable because the industry really wanted people to get out and travel because they hadn't been traveling for a while.
Right.
Now all of a sudden in that third year, all that had caught up, all these people who had been waiting for COVID to go away, the supply and demand changed. So we acknowledged that. We increased our budget to $52,000. We actually came in under budget at $51,765, saving ourselves 0.5%, $235.
Yeah.
But the third year, I think, was kind of like, well, I don't want to say it's the golden year, but it was a great year. It's like all of a sudden, everything clicked. Like we kind of understood who we were as travelers. We kind of understood what the systems were. Things started getting easier. We had processed our grief. We had our family had kind of adjusted by then to us being nomads. They were no longer mad at us. Shh, don't tell them. They kind of like there was healthy conversations were now coming back into the fold about this is our life. This isn't just some vacation or some wing it sort of thing that we spontaneously went off on to find ourselves. Like this is our life.
And I also think that we got more in sync on, what we like to do, the kind of experiences that we like, the kind of money that we want to spend, how we spend our money. Again, we're talking about, the spending versus our budget. And then, 3 years in, you get to a point where it's like, okay, this is what we like. And this is how we spend our money.
And but we finally got to a point in 3 years that we no longer had to defend ourselves. Like, this is us. This is what we're doing. People like our family and friends started to understand what it is that we're doing. They stopped kind of being critical about it and started asking questions about our life as opposed to, why are you doing this? And what about insurance? And what about end of life stuff, and what about like they just kind of said, oh, where are you going next? Like the whole thing relaxed.
Yeah, and especially when this was also the time where you like got your knee.
No, that was in the second year. I got my
Okay.
knee surgery in the second year.
But it was, where we figured out that things like healthcare is
No big deal.
excellent around the world, and you can find things. And we're also building a really solid community as well. So we're meeting other full-time travelers on a pretty regular basis, and we're being able to create those connections and.
But back to the healthcare, we now have established doctors around the world, so that if something happens in Southeast Asia, we'll go to Malaysia. If something happens in Europe, we'll go to either Greece or Turkey. If something happens in North America, we'll go to Mexico. So we've established our network of providers, both dental and medical, so that we feel we don't have any concerns about if something happens, we're close to our doctors, even relatively close. We're a 2 or 3 hour flight away, depending on geographically where we are, to our doctors.
Yeah.
So in the fourth year, I think was kind of a tough year. So in the fourth year, we kept the same, we gave ourselves another raise, a $6,000 raise to $58,000. We actually only spent $53,796, so we came in under budget by 7.2% or $4,204. I think in the fourth year, I know you're going to disagree with me on this, but we got bored. Like we kept, we would go to a cathedral, or we go to a centro, or we go to the tourist attraction, which looked like every other tourist attraction in the world, and we're like, what are we doing here? I mean, we really had a lot of conversation about intention. What are we doing?
Right.
What is are we maximizing our privilege in a way that maybe is not the way we want to do that? Like, what is our intention, and why the hell are we doing this?
Yeah, and I think also that we, maybe we're going to some places that we thought that we would like more than we liked. So it felt like it was a year of like finding out what we don't like, and because we've already had 3 years of experiences of identifying what we do like. And so it was a year that I think we kind of realized, like, oh, well, maybe we don't need to go to South America to find what we're looking for, kind of thing.
We did go to South America in our fourth year.
I know, and I didn't like it.
Well, but going back to our first year, if you would have asked us in our first year where we thought we would eventually end up, I would have said somewhere speaking Spanish, probably Mexico, possibly Central or South America, but we weren't thinking Europe was going to be someplace we would eventually end up.
Right.
And then then we go down to South America to kind of like to cross it off, as in we went there, we checked it out, we decided that's not our place. Like we were like the fourth year seemed to be the year that we eliminated places from some final list that we have somewhere in our head that I'm not even sure what a final list is, but like we said, we don't need to do that anymore. Or that's just not, we're not interested in that anymore.
And it was problem solving, because I still have this feeling like, Europe is too expensive, and you can only stay there for 90 days. Mm-hmm. We've found ways around that.
Right. So then in our fifth year, we kept the same budget, $58,000. We went over, so you can watch our video. Matter of fact, every single one of these years, we have a video about how we spent the money. So if you want to go back and look at all that, just check we have a playlist of expenses. So in our fifth year, our budget was $58,000. We went over by 4.2%, or $60,435, over by $2,435. So in our fifth year, I think, and we've definitely seen this in our cohort of people. We've got friends that now they cruise all the time. They didn't think they'd ever cruise, and now they stay in hotels all the time. They didn't think they'd ever stay in hotels. For us, it was this experimental year. Like, what's the future look like? How are we going to plan now for the future? For at some point that we do come off the road, we don't know what that timeline is, but let's look at let's experiment with some things. Let's try some different things. Let's maybe spend effort on a long-term plan, so that at the point that the long-term plan becomes due, it's our choice about what the long-term plan looks like, and not some random medical reason about what the long-term plan looks like.
Yeah. I really think that in year 5 is, I don't want to use the word mortality, but it's like you
Are you dying?
realize, like, I'm not dying, but we realize that we're not going to be able to do this forever. Now, maybe another 5 years, maybe another 10 years,
Yeah.
we'll still be doing these videos and talking about our budget. But it feels like there is some point in the future where we're going to have a different lifestyle, and let's start planning and let's start thinking about that. Let's start preparing for that.
Right.
So we spent 4 months in Greece, had a great time, loved it, and we're able to get our an annual tourist visa, if you will, so that we could stay in Greece for longer, which eased up on the rest of the Schengen time. So there wasn't so much, force to get in and out of Europe every 90 days. And we decided that we like Europe a lot.
And Greece in particular. So we applied for a golden visa, which when we get it, we're still in the process of it. And we've been promising a video about it forever. When we finally get it, we think we're in the end of step 2 on the way to step 3 of 3 steps. We should have it soon. When we get it, we'll tell you all about it. But the point of getting a golden visa, that will allow us to be residents of Greece. We'll still be held to Schengen time, but with that residency, we get medical care. We can stay in Greece long term. We have the rights to be in Greece, so we have kind of a backup plan for other places.
Yeah.
So in that 5th year, it was, and we think that in the long term, Greece is where we will probably end up for long-term stay and our next iteration of our life. But we don't know that. It could change, but that's kind of how we're planning.
Yeah, it's also part of this experimental phase where, 2-3 years from now, we may change our mind, and that's okay. We're building this experience and we're building this knowledge base where we know what it takes to go through the process. And if, for example, we've talked about Mexico, we can continue to talk about other countries.
Costa Rica.
Rica.
Again, the Americas are back in the conversation. When they were in the conversation the first year, they were off in the 4th year, and now they're back in the 6th year. So things change.
It's a learning process, and I do agree that year 5, this year past year we spent a month apart, the whole month of March. We went in 2 different directions and did things for a month, and we were back together and still madly in love.
Yeah.
And
really? Yes, we are. But but I was even thinking today. We went to Costco today, and he's buying a new computer, and we're in North America, and of course that involves Costco. But I was just thinking, I wonder if we could do 3 months apart. Like, what would that look like? You wouldn't want it. You wouldn't want that. Well, anyway, something to talk about in our 6th year. Anyway, because there's some things I think I want to do and some things that you just don't want to do, and vice versa. And I don't know, that's something we could talk about in the next year because we've already got the 6-year plan. So the bottom line is, after we're now into our 6th year, we have spent $263,318 on a $264,000 budget. So overall, after 5 years, we're under budget by 0.3%, or $682 after 5 years. I mean, talk about being pretty exact.
Yeah, we're on 5 years. We've spent how much we said we want to spend in 5 years. So if you're worried about spending too much, you can do this on any budget. And I think we're about in the middle, because we know people that spend much less, and we know people that spend much more than we spend and still consider themselves, on a budget, if you will.
Let's throw up that cash flow chart again here real quick. So you're going to see huge peaks and huge valleys in the cash flow chart. And well, it's not cash flow chart, it's a spend chart.
Spend like versus how we budget.
Yeah, so how we've spent versus budget. But what's interesting is we stay on budget even though we have months that are hugely out of budget on an annual number, or hugely under budget. Like, I don't know, one time we had a $10,000 spend, or a $11,000 spend in 1 month, but then the next year we had less than $3,000. Or next month we had less than $3,000. So I mean, those spikes and valleys are usually us. The spikes are usually us doing a big chunk of planning for the next 4 or 5 months, paying for all that planning, and then not having expenses for the next 3 or 4 months because we paid for it all in 1 month.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, we see these videos of people, YouTubers tracking their daily number. Are they on budget for the day or on budget for the week? And I'm like, how could you possibly manage that? It's an annual budget, and because this lifestyle has all these peaks and valleys with when you purchase travel and when you don't, and when you do travel and when you don't, that's what affects your budget, not whether or not you bought 3 beers or 2 beers or 1 cup of coffee today.
Yeah.
It's how many plane trips did you buy?
Because we track our spending on a cash basis. So meaning, if we pay for an Airbnb that's 3 months from now, we're talking about that the expense was in this month,
right,
not in 3 months from now. So we could vary that. I think that that's a little bit too much work. And I think if because we're doing this for 5 years, and it seems like even though our spending up and down, like Chris said, over the year, we're coming in within 1% of our tracking of where we want to spend.
And I want to make the point that hardly ever do Steve and I talk about the budget on a daily basis. It's not like we go, we want to go to a Rhine cruise. Is it in budget? We just look at it. We go, yeah, that sounds great. And then we book it. And then somehow miraculously our numbers come in pretty true. I mean, after 5 years, seem to have a system that works.
You said this, it was like in a previous video, how this is like a miracle. And it's like, no, it's not a miracle.
You're brilliant, honey. You're brilliant.
This is money management. This says, I know.
Yeah, that's true.
I just know.
So if you have questions about this, please let us know. If you want Steve to do spreadsheet, technical, how you do, down to the cell level on a spreadsheet, how you do a formula, type thing like budget, he's glad to do it. He used to teach Excel. So, I mean, let him put his teacher hat on and teach a budgeting Excel spreadsheet video.
It would be boring.
Well,
I would try.
There's some people that would I would be like, fast forward, but a lot of people would love it. So if you want that, let us know. If we get 30 people saying you want a technical budget video in the comments, we'll do it. If we get less than 30, we're not going to do it.
30, okay.
Yeah, 30. 33. 30, my favorite number, 33. Make it 33.
Vote and vote often. How's that go?
Vote once and vote often.
Vote often.
Anyway, thanks you guys for hanging in there. We hope this video has been great. If this is a topic you love, tell us. We'll do more. If it's not, also tell us and we won't do more. But say hello to the beautiful weather in Maine. We're going to go off, enjoy a day at the beach at Old Orchard Beach, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.